All right, guys. Hey, welcome to the Family First Life West Coast podcast. Excited that you're on today. In fact, I'm excited to bring back somebody that was on not a long time ago, but she's continuously going out there and putting her head down, going to work, and has such a great positive energy that I'm like, this is, if you didn't think energy was infectious, well, you're going to know after this, because you're going to be more excited and empowered to go out there and do more, be more, and achieve your goals. And so, Kyra, I just want to say thank you for joining again, and good to have you on with us.
Thank you as well. I'm excited yet again, but yet the opportunity to speak with you and just support our lovely FFL family. I love it. I love it.
Well, hey, I love you, and I'm glad you're on with us. Talk about real quick, Kyra, like you've been with us for what, 45 days? How long has it been?
When I got started, I would say at least at the end of August is when I finally said, let me get in the field. Let me work this business. Let me see what it potentially can do for myself and my family and vice versa. But yeah, so I guess right now I'm balancing myself at least 3 months right now, but at least knowing that I'm taking the productivity aspect of doing the work, actually.
I love that. So guys, if you're on right now and you're kind of just getting started into the business, I think this would be a great time for you to get a pen and a piece of paper and take some notes, because what I'm really going to unpack and want to talk to Kyra about is some of the things that, maybe mental barriers and roadblocks that she kind of went through to get this thing, this business going and being committed to it. And then maybe some of the things that she believes has made the greatest impact in her going out there and helping 20 families in a month when she's that new. And so, Kyra, I'd love to have you kind of start there. When it comes to, in fact, let's do this. Let's first start with getting to know you a little bit, maybe talk about, your story. I don't know, however far back you want to go,
Well, in 1988, no, basically my background, y'all, I've worked in corporate America the entirety of my life. I've worked in international sales. I'm a licensed cosmetologist. I'm a licensed realtor. I love multiple streams of income. Okay. And it took for me to get bit one time to understand that the industries are always evolving and changing, but also your income potential can always evolve and change. We can't just become stagnant and just believe that only one thing can get us to our final goal. And so I would say my entrepreneurial journey really started in 2016 when I took the opportunity of partnering with a company at that time that honestly, it fulfilled my void. It fulfilled my needs. I love traveling and I wanted to make that to be something to be lucrative and earn an income from it. So I got started. Everything went amazing with that. Within 3.5 years in that business, I did extremely well, but I got laid off from my job, my corporate job in 2019. And we don't expect that to happen. We truly, truly don't. But guess what? It did. And I'm just grateful that I had a vehicle already in place for me to where I made the decision to not return back to corporate America. But even throughout that journey, right, everything can be on autopilot. Everything can be amazing. And then there's a slump. There's a seasonal change, a seasonal shift. And for myself, I encountered that this year. I never dealt with it, probably a good 3+ years of autopilot. And I had to make some readjustments. I had to make some changes. I was introduced to the industry of insurance through a friend of mine. And she just basically just gave me some insight. And I was amazed by the products. I was amazed about the opportunity of helping so many people, but also understanding the importance and value behind life insurance. And if you don't mind, Paul, just to shed light, in 2013, my sister was murdered. And just imagine being 23 years of age and having to pay for her entire funeral. You don't know where to start. You don't know where to end. You just know that you got to start somewhere. So granted, I lived the life of the GoFundMes. I lived the life of hosting benefit suppers and dinners to be able to raise extra money for that. I was traveling back and forth from New Orleans to Houston and Houston to New Orleans doing news interviews and going broke. Okay, literally going broke in the process. But then I had to remember and remind myself, I know who's the higher power and who's in control of those situations. So when you learn of how to go through that process, but then when you get smarter and wiser and say it will never happen again. So I'm grateful for this industry. I'm grateful for the products of insurance, and even more so knowing that this year alone is where I really took the opportunity to my own advantage and said, I want to go out there and help some families as well.
I love that. And I think that what gets me thinking, Kyra, is, this last year, it was kind of a year where you got rattled, right? You said you're on autopilot, stuff was just kind of moving, and it was almost like effortlessly. It was, it was just going. You were going through the motions and things were just on autopilot. And then all of a sudden, boom, you get shook. And then this presents itself. And I think that a lot of times, we don't, it's easy to forget that most of the time, the miracle's in the middle, right? The blessing's in the middle. It's that interruption where we think that like, oh, this is terrible. Like, this isn't my plan. This is not what I expected. This is where I wanted to go. But a lot of times that's where the greatest blessing is. If we keep our mind open, right?
Yes.
Keep the right outlook, then we do. And I'm not shocked by any means that when you got shook, you found the opportunity and you found the good, you found the blessing in the middle that's way bigger than what you would ever had if it didn't happen. Right. And so, I think that's such a big deal. And it's funny how things are so connected, like you find in the life insurance industry in that moment where things got rattled. And now the one of the hardest times, like you were talking about when you were early 20s, having to go through the loss of your sister and then having to endure in that season while emotionally dealing with that. Now also financially having to figure out, what am I going to do? Yes. Well, now you can take that tragedy, that season that was very difficult, and you can tie it to what you found in the middle of your careers. That's now going to allow that to be a testimony to other people that you would have never got life insurance if you didn't get shook to find the industry, and that wouldn't have got life insurance if they didn't have somebody like you, exactly you, telling the story that you incurred and had to go through, that now gets them to understand the value of it because they can live through your story. It's just all kind of like tied together.
Full circle. And I fully agree with you on that.
It did, and you've taken and done a great job with where you're placed at now. And so I want you to talk about that. What do you think has been like, if it's more than one, that's fine, but maybe a couple things, if so, like some of the things that you believe have really set you up to go out there and see this success early on, to go out there and help 20 families in a month. Can you kind of unpack some of the things that you could say, these are the things that have really kind of put me on this path?
Okay. So first and foremost, what really attracted and appealed to me with this company was I didn't have to go through the family and friends as my beginning stage. And of course, when you've been in industries and you do so many different things, you kind of, I'm not going to say you utilize all your resources, but you definitely have used quite a few of them. And I was excited to know that, like, okay, with this company, I can purchase my own leads. I can be able to contact individuals that I don't know. And I love cold marketing. I love the fact of meeting individuals on Facebook and Instagram and building relationships, building rapport, and then potentially doing business with them to where like we are literally business partners. So for me, that concept just made sense. But as far as the success level aspect of it, I will be honest. I'm a person, when I get started, especially if I'm all into something, I'm all in. But at that particular moment, like I shared light on the podcast, I had a little debt that I had just encountered from 2022. So my reason for going at that particular pace at that moment was based upon, I need to catch up. I need to get through this hurdle, right? And once you hop over the hurdle, what's next? But grateful to have someone like Mr. Rami, who again, I met Miss Melissa through a cold call. They called me through a cold call on the phone. I'm like, yeah, it sounds good. Put him on the phone with me. I'll talk to him, see if it makes sense. And it did. And I'm grateful to have someone like that to hold me accountable. Because granted, when you become a leader in different companies and different organizations, that doesn't mean that you still can't be coached. And I needed to be reassured that this person can take me to the next level, but also that this person truly has a heart for the people. I want to know that when I commit to something that you're just as committed as I am. So his drive and his energy motivates me. Miss Marissa, Miss Christina, just having so many people in the field, even when you contacted me, I'm like, oh Lord, this is amazing right now, because you need that reassurance that I can do the things to be possible, to be successful, but also understanding that, y'all, I was not the most organized. This business has like literally changed my whole lifestyle now. And I mean, honestly, changed my entire lifestyle. I wake up early now. Do I like to wake up early? No. But I understand that I have to serve, right? I'm changing my eating habits. I want to be healthier. I heard Mr. Bob on one of our calls shedding light how it took for him to get in this industry to where he lost weight because he saw the value of his health. So you look at all those type of examples and different, your podcast, you expressing to us how to get over the objections, get over the complications, get over the confusion. When your head is down and you're running, you just focus on who can I help next? Who can I help next? It's a numbers game. Once you go through the numbers, you're just looking for the lucky picks. Who's going to bite today? Who's going to really fulfill the fulfillment? Because you know how it is when they get to the part when it's time to put the bank account information in, they just get scared. And now all of a sudden they don't know what to do next. But I'm grateful. I will say that disciplining yourself, reorganizing the things that you thought was the way of life. You know, when you get, I remember when I first signed up, I'd be lying if I say, oh yeah, I got started as soon as I signed up. I didn't, because I still felt like, it's still autopilot. There's just something on the side. But it took for me to sit down and have a conversation and realign my goals, realign my purpose, even speaking with you and helping me to really just structure it and say, Kyra, we're in a new season. That was 6-year-old goals, you know? Now we're in your next 6 years. We're in your next 5 to 10 run. What are we doing now? How are we going to do the things we need to do and implement it in a way where you attain of success? So I'm all in, and I love it here. And I'm so grateful for all of you all. I really, truly am.
That was so good. And I think that the one thing I want to spotlight is Kyra, you said that debt was there. And that kind of put your back against the wall where even though it was on autopilot, you started to say like, man, this debt is I don't like carrying it. It's a weight that I don't want to have on my shoulders. So I need to go do something about it, or else it could potentially crush me and where I want to go, what I want to do. And so it was almost like your back was against the wall and it was life or death. You were either going to, fight and figure this thing out and get this thing moving, or you were going to just kind of, just pause and let it just roll right over you. And I think that if more people, this is myself included, like I've always done my best when it's life or death. Like it's always easier to choose the yes, the uncomfortable yes, the yes to invest more in resources, the yes to wake up earlier, the yes to go door. It's easier to say, okay, I'm going to choose this. And then also it's easier to say no to the things that are going to take you away when it's life or death. When it's not, compromise is so much easier to entertain. But if you can put yourself in a life or death situation when it's not life or death, that's how you keep progressing and getting the most from every single day. Now that's a strategy. That's a choice. That takes intentionality to say it is not life or death right now.
Yes, it does.
I've got maybe for somebody on here, they've got more money in their account than they've ever had. How can you make it life or death even when it's not? Well, that's where you start thinking like, well, I mean, heck, it could all go away tomorrow, right? Or what if something changes? Or what if something happens? And so I need to pretend as if something can take place. Now, I know that goes against kind of my philosophy, which is always forecasting a faithful future, right? And that it's going to be positive. I'm not saying not to do that. I'm saying you should be looking forward and expecting to have great things happen. But I'm also not confused that I need to work today, be diligent in today, serve today in order to make sure that I can continue to deserve the right to have success and to have my business growing. And so to put yourself in a life or death situation when it's not life or death, it's going to bring out something in you that is needed and necessary to go to new heights and new levels. And I just think that as you spoke about that, I thought like, man, that's exactly where you were kind of at, that push from just thinking, dabbling to saying, no, I'm committed. This is a vehicle that can possibly get me out of life or death situation. Kyra, talk about your lead flow. What does that look like?
Okay. So when I first got started, I remember Rama was like, look, I need you to, $500 or to at least spend on your leads, $500 to $1,000. And I'm gonna be honest, I remember I was like, oh, I got like $200 in my account right now. let me just go ahead and get like $200 worth of leads. But I understood when he said, you still need to purchase leads. So of course I did that. I had, of course I realized that the payouts were so quick and fast. So my next batch of leads, I was ready. I was purchasing the 500 through 1,000. Well, I know for sure, at least every week, it was at least $500 per Sundays and Wednesdays. And so seeing that $1,000 go out, am I looking at it like, oh my God, this is hurting me? No, because that means I'm going to go even harder to make sure I'm doing the necessary work. But I will be honest, sometimes there's a act of laziness that can sometimes cast upon you. And for me, it was, if I make one sale from this, I ain't tripping. At least I can, get what I purchased on my leads back. And I had to snap myself out of that because it's so easy to get back comfortable. It's so easy to just settle for what is considered comfortable. And so when I realigned that and I said, no, we can't do this no more, Carol. Like, seriously, you're committed to this. We know that this is a part of the investment strategy so that we can be able to have a success strategy. Okay. And you put it out there. It's going to come back. If you are doing the work, you're on the calls, you're calling people, you're checking in, you're doing what you have to do, the necessary process to get you to the next level. So yeah, that lead flow is definitely a great consistency. I've been purchasing the 1 month old. Well, I guess, I don't know if it's 1 month through 3 month leads, but I think it's the 1 month lead. So I've been purchasing those ones. And actually that's where I've been seeing the most success with. I tried to do, I dibbled and dabbled, how you try to take maybe 5 or 10 of something. And I didn't get as many bites as what I've gotten with the other stuff. But now I'm interested in those real-time leads. And I'm like, okay, start me a campaign. I'm ready. Like, I'm willing to invest more out there. And especially when I'm watching a podcast or I'm watching, the different YouTube channels. And I'm hearing how these top producers are not stopping at how much they're willing to invest, whether it's weekly, whether it's monthly. I think I heard one gentleman say he puts out over maybe 10 or 11K into the leads. And I'm like, I could do that, because if you are going to do the work and you're going to reap the results from it, why not? So it's pretty interesting. I feel like I'm not going to lie. I said, I feel like I'm gambling, but I'm not gambling on anything that's not going to put me in a better situation. I'm actually just making sure that I have reoccurring business coming in. And then to do that, and if I'm not going to be targeting my warm market, I got to keep a continual flow of business coming in.
I love that. Somebody said this to me a while back and I was like, this is a good way to put it. They said, like, leads, it's like walking into a book of business. A lot of people will say, like, man, the insurance industry, you can be wealthy, but it takes time. You got to build your book, and really what the leads do allows you to really start with a book, because every week you've got a book of people to call. That's all a book is. It's just basically a client, that you reach out to and you try to find additional, value propositions to provide additional services and make additional sales. Right. And so with the leads, it's like that you walk into that. Right. And it's no different if you are gambling, but the gambling though, it's the house doesn't have the favor
Fold.
Here. Yeah. The house, like, it's like a 51%, typically when you go blackjack or whatever here, it's like, man, if I invest $1,000 in leads, the odds are statistically, which everything's numbers, you can't beat them, they can't beat you, is that you should have a 3x multiplier, even being a brand new person. Does that happen for everybody? No, some have 5x, some have 6x, but it's a different type. And by the way, entrepreneurship requires crazy, relentless work ethic and taking risk. But the risk is so small when you actually scale it the right way. And I think that's for anybody that's on here. If you started to put it into the right context, I believe that you would probably invest more in resources, right? Meaning that you look at, just go watch Shark Tank. I was watching Kyra Shark Tank last night with my kids because it's a show that, they kind of like. I've convinced them to like it. And it's a show that I like. And so I don't have to watch Dora the Explorer or SpongeBob. I can watch Shark Tank and they'll watch, right? And but you start watching how much they have to invest to get the business going and what they have to go through and the capital they have to raise and how many investors have to put in or how they got to work relentlessly at this job and they got to self-fund it or they got to refinance their house. It's so much. And then they don't even get it back for like a year, 2 years. In fact, most of the time they don't ever get it back. Like less than 5% of businesses will make it past 5 years. Now that doesn't even say that they're profitable business. It just says that they're going to still be in business. how many of the 5% are still not a profitable business 5 years in? They're still doing a fundraising or whatever to keep things moving and going. So when you put it into context, it's easier to make that. And I say that just because I know somebody on here, if you got your mind right on it, you'd run to doing it. You would be like, oh my gosh, this is just unbelievable. Like if some of these Shark Tank and, business owners would hear what you get to do and how fast it can come back the same week and all this, they're like, are you kidding me? Like they would be running to it, right? Because they've already taken out $100,000 of their house. They've already borrowed money. They've already taken money out of their 401k. They've already done those things. They're like, this is a no-brainer. Like the greater the risk, the greater the reward. I'm willing to take this risk because, man, I don't want to work this job forever. I want to build something. I want to do something. I want to create something. I want freedom, right? And so I love that. Kyra, by the way, the real-time leads will absolutely increase your production. 100%.
I love it.
I mean,
I love it.
I get to hear the stories all the time, which I love. And I'm telling you, Sam talked about it nonstop. Todd, which he was, helped over 20 families, his first real week in the business. He's like, dude, these real-time leads, they just come in. Jeremiah, he said he booked more appointments on Internet Life Leads than he ever had in that period of time. He's like, by like 3x. He's like, I booked 15 appointments like that. He's like, normally it was just could somebody pick up the phone, right? And then the people that did pick up, the ability for him to book them was so much higher because it was so new. They sent it in right away. So definitely jump on those. All right. As we wrap up, talk about any tips on the phone, tips in the home. I know you're doing both. If I said, Kyra, I'm paying you as a consultant. You're going to come give me some feedback. I'm in the business. You've seen experience. Tell me what you think I could do to be better on the phones or in home. Like, what are some things that you've learned that you think would probably be applicable for most people?
Okay, so first and foremost, I'm from the South. I'm originally from New Orleans, but I've been in Houston for over 12 plus years. And the script, I love it. Like verbatim, I do it. I even on the dials, and I love it. But there's just one little part I do like to add, and it's more so based upon just acknowledging how are they having a good day, So I might start with, hi, this is Kyra Harris calling from the Fort Bend and Harris County Benefit Center. Okay, I'm sorry. Okay, I'm sorry. I went into script mode for a second. Yes, this is Kyra Harris calling from the Fort Bend and Harris County Benefit Center. How are you doing today? And I just like to just add that. That's the only little extra thing I might add in. And then they'll tell me, oh, okay, perfect. Well, yes, actually, I'm calling on behalf of blah, blah, blah. I'll go into the whole detail of the underwriter and things and such. But I like to add that in there just because I had one person. Oh, pardon me. I'm sorry. I had one person I called and I went straight into the, I'm just getting back to you from the, and they were like, well, are you going to at least say hi? And I was like, oh my God. That was the first time someone ever had said that to me. So of course I was like, okay, let me just throw this in there. Let's see how it works. So I sometimes dibble and dabble with both just to play around with the verbiage and see which one works best. But I'm not trying to change the wheel, nor am I trying to reinvent the wheel. Okay. I got a great return on all my investments. So I'm looking forward to continuously helping it grow. Now, another thing, I did not know anything about the templates. I was literally just scrolling and dialing. And then one day I was like, how do I be more efficient? I feel like something's slowing me down. He's like, Kyra, are you not printing out your leads? I'm like, how can I? It's a spreadsheet. It's like, no, click templates. Literally game changing, y'all. It was like an aha moment. And I'll probably say maybe a couple of weeks ago is when I started printing out the templates. So now I feel like I'm being more productive. I'm going through the numbers, going through the names, going through everything, got the proper paperwork to even take some notations on versus I had the old school 5-star notebook and I grabbed it. I bought it at the store and I said, let me write it down. I was writing down all the details because that made me feel like I was doing something. But now I'm running through the names and the numbers. As far as, I'm so sorry. I just keep getting phone calls. Am I still on?
Yeah,
okay.
Good. Yeah, that's just
okay. All right. Sorry about that. And what else I would just say is plugging in, really watching these podcasts, watching the videos, watching the YouTube videos, the new agent boot camp. Like, honestly, that's why I think I'm still in amazement of how effortless your systems are. I like to feel like I can always go back to it. I think the other day I was listening to the videos of the objections with you, and I can't recall the gentleman you did the video with, but it was good. And I was like, oh my God, I had to use this on somebody. And I did, and I booked the appointment. So just knowing that you are receiving this information, but you're also implementing this information. And other than that, getting out your head. I get it. Dial day can really be tedious, but I wake up every morning when it's time for dial day and say, God, please let me have some great clients. And even if they hang up on me, let them do it nicely. And it's amazing how you can go throughout your day, and that gives you more gratification at the end. And lastly, y'all, I play a little game. Everybody has a birthday in February. I'm Aquarius. So everybody has a birthday in February. I always say they're going to answer the phone, or they're going to call me back, or they're going to book the appointment. And I promise you, everybody who is in February has called me back, booked the appointment, or either, we chatted on the phone and I helped and assisted them. So that's just some of my little insider tips. But overall, y'all got it. It's a solid plan. It works. Follow the system, y'all. It works.
I love that. There's so much good stuff with what you just said, Kyra. That was unbelievable. And you're exactly right. You know, like when I first called you, I said, hey, Kyra, how's it going? Like, oh, it's a great day. It's dial day. I'm like, that's exactly right. Because, hey, when you say something, you give it power, right? Yes. When you say something, it's 10 times more likely to take place. And if you say something and what you say is negative, it's like 4 times more than the 10 times. So it's like 40 times more likely to come to pass. So that's why it's so important. Like when we're saying something, man, is it in alignment with what you want to think, feel, and do? And if it's not, man, check it up. Mm-hmm. You know, do a little checkup. And take it captive. Hey, does this what I say? Is it what I want to experience? And if it's not, I would just fix it, because it will come to pass. There's power in the spoken tongue, right? There's life and death. Are you speaking life or death? And when I talk to you, you speak life. And when you speak life, I feel life. And that's an important thing. So are you like a vitamin C to everybody? Are you like one of them dirty germs? You know what I mean?
I am, and I have to refill every time. I'm just saying.
Vitamin C. And you are vitamin C, and I've said that, and which is why I was so excited to have you on and have you share today, because you provided so much great value from what you said, but also your presence also, I think, gets people realizing, like, man, if I could just be a little bit more positive and more energy, it'd go a long way. And it does. It's infectious. It's a positive thing. You start to get more of what you desire and what you want, you know. And a lot of what you just said in the very end was talking about that, like, you know, your expectation, what you think and how you feel and what you believe is going to happen. And then you take action on that. I mean, so good. So guys, I hope this helped you. It helped me. Kyra, thank you again for
you
here and serving the team. And this is the time where whatever you've learned, ask yourself, am I putting it in action? Or maybe ask yourself this: what's the one thing that you picked up recently? The one thing when you heard it, maybe it was an aha moment. You're like, oh man, that's so good. Like, that's really good. Because those happen periodically. They don't happen all the time. But maybe what was the last one that you're like, that is really good, and you feel like that would help me build my business? And whatever that is for everybody on here, ask yourself, have you taken action? And if you've not taken action on it, I would just encourage you to take action on it right now, because to know and not to do is not to know. And you only start to know by doing. And so put that into practice right now and see your business grow, because none of this matters unless you put the action behind it. Faith without works is dead. Right. And you, a lot of people on here, you've got pages of things that are so good, right? But there's nothing being implemented. And I remember hearing this in the LA Times. They talked about this drought that was taking place in California. And then they continued to write about how there was the greatest rainfall, but it just ended up flowing right into the LA River. And what they talked about was it was wasted rain. Like, there was plenty of it, but it was wasted because it wasn't captured. There was nothing done with it. And I wonder if there's somebody on here that you've got that wasted rain, right? You've got the stuff that's needed to clear the drought, the financial drought, the business drought, the production drought, but it's not been put into place. Let's make this a day to day where you put it in place and you level up and take your business to new heights. So Kyra, thank you so much again, guys. Make it a massive week. Be strong, stay steadfast. We'll talk to you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.